All right, my friends, Brian with A.B.E.L Locksmith here. I got my Miracle S10 about a week ago. Just as an FYI, if you buy one of these and you have an issue with the decoders breaking right off the bat, I happen to get one out of 200 that would have that issue. I'm not even sure that they've ever had that issue from what the tech was saying, but real simple fix. Once we finally figured out what it was, it was consistently the secondary jaw system. These things have passed an electrical current through them, and the place where the contact was with the base of the tool had a powder coat paint on it that was just blocking the conductivity. So we had to scrape that off, and it works great now. So as an FYI, I've been testing this machine for a couple days now, and this is my good old workhorse Condor Mini right here. This was, I don't know, 3-4 years old. It was the Condor Mini. It's the KM03 serial code, I believe, it ends with. That's how they identify those, is a couple different serial codes. This is, for what I paid, about $2,999, about $3,000. This machine has done me good for 3 or 4 years. Main thing right now, it started showing some issues with the touchscreen. It's not responding correctly. You'll hit a T and it'll actually do the U next to it, or something, vice versa. It's just becoming very inaccurate, or inaccurate, should I say? But it's functional. I've made it happen. Just a couple of quick things to notice. Condor, this lid's always been kind of janky. It's always want to pop out over here pretty much since I've had it. I don't use the lid as a trigger. I do this with it open all the time, because with this first model, you couldn't stick a remote head key in here and shut the lid. So you had to keep it open while you ran it. Little things like that just weren't big deals. Again, tech support, it's a Chinese machine. There's pretty much no tech support unless you know people that have had it and have troubleshot it for a while. JB Gates, I think, knows a lot about these machines over International Key Supply. And I'm going to probably send this off, and he's probably going to replace the screen and a few parts to make this a secondary machine. This machine, on the other hand, you may first notice the size difference. It's pretty significant. The S10 is going to, of course, with the tablet on top, is going to take a lot more height. Even with the lid open, it's taller. Once that Condor shut, of course, is quite a bit shorter. And, of course, the width. Look how skinny. I didn't realize how small that machine was until I got this one. But I believe once we're done, you'll believe it's worth it. So we're gonna do a couple tests here, some timing tests, just to show that if maybe we can measure. I don't know if we'll be able to really tell the difference on a video as far as the sound of the machines, but the speed we'll definitely be able to tell. So the first test I want to do is a boot up test. So this isn't really going to be. This is something we'll be able to visually see, and it'll be off by a couple seconds. So I'm going to start by. I'll give this one the head start because it is actually a tablet and 2 switches. Machine on, and you twist this knob out. This is your emergency switch that you can punch in and shut it down fast, but of course it's got to be out to be on. Then you got an actual on switch. Condor only has this on switch that you twist off and on. So you know what? Let's do this. Let's give the Condor a heads up. So click, boot. On. All right, the Condor's done. Let's see if we can actually use it. You can pull up. You can see there's a little bit of delay. Of course, that it's a Windows 10 Surface tablet, so it's going to take a minute to boot. Well, not a minute. It's a few seconds. It was really. My Apple went off. I didn't actually time it. So, of course, Condor is going to come on a little faster. It's not a tablet. It's just the system that comes built in. This one is loading. I've got it set to automatically load the Codemaster setup. So you're talking about less than a minute, I think. And you've got it up and booting. Up and running. Just heard that engage. It disconnected. So there, we're good. Okay, so another thing you may notice, we're booted. We're done. Everything's tablet based. motorcycle, standard keys. You can actually do quick set, schlag. I did a Corbin Russwin. It was an RU4, which really this only had the RU1 in there, but the RU4 is the 6-cut version, so I actually was able to cut that with this jaw, whereas I wasn't quite sure what HPC card to use on my actual 1200, because it's one of those old Russwins that I never run into. I just don't, it's so very rare here. Okay, so you get an idea. One thing I'm gonna have to get used to, this is all like internationally based information. I'm not familiar with a lot of, over here in America, or the United States of America, should I say, we use good old-fashioned ILCO most of the time. ILCO Easy is what I'm used to. So like if I go to a Nissan, let's say an Altima, I don't know what a DAT 12 or NAN 14 and those numbers I'm unfamiliar with. It gives you a bunch of information here. So one of the things that's cool though, so if I go here and I've selected Nissan already, so we go back to Nissan and I just show blanks. Okay, it'll just give me a page or 2 or 3 of blanks. Now, you can see right over here, I can select ILCO. DA34, 10 cut or 11 cut. This is the type of stuff I understand a little better. You can select JMA, Keyline, Silca. It gives you a few options. So pretty nice. I'm getting used to how this operates. The Condor, I'm gonna hit home. Somewhat similar, if I wanted to go to a key database here, it's really, you're gonna select, BMW cycles, and then you're gonna have, this is if you have the key code. I can select what, you put the code in. Now, if I want a main menu, this is all testing and setup. Pretty simple device, key duplication. Here it makes you select by, model, or I'm sorry, make and model. I'm getting used to that tablet already. So let's say Enclave. I kind of used that tablet. So it'll give you 2007 to 14, and depending on the vehicle, 10 cut. Depending on the make and model, it'll give you a few options similar to this one as far as, and it does use the international identifiers also. But, punching the keys or key decode. So if you want to copy another key, you can put the key in and decode it. This one has a cut plastic key option. That's fairly new. This one had the cut plastic key option too, which haven't tried that yet. And the only thing I run into that needs that usually is a Volkswagen Passat, the little in-dash remotes that have the hide key on it. It's always plastic for some dumb reason. All right, so KMO3, it gives you a cut by bidding option. And in this case, you select the key. Okay, so it's kind of a mixture. It does like the B111 for, Chevy or GM. But if I went like with Honda, the high security Honda I know is a H01 or 001 or whichever it is, I don't know. But this one's going to be the HU66, which is more consistently in that vein. And so on. So pretty simple, pretty basic here. This is the jaw removing. Super easy. If I can do this one-handed on video. Super easy. Tighten down. This is your double-sided keys, like your DA34, your standard automotive. This does not do residential. It does have a jaw for copying residential, but it is not. I would never try to use it for that. It's been through updates and stuff like that. That option's being in there, and you can see the decoder and the cutter. Whereas this one's a little different. Like you can see a dimple cutter, which is permanent. This jaw is permanent. This jaw is changeable. So very like the Condor. This is the multi-jaw for single-sided keys and residential keys. And what do I do with that other jaw? This is your multi-jaw here. So This particular setup is for your HU66 with a B1, B2R. If I want to change the type of key I'm going to do, it's got the adapters, so I'll put the B2L and the B2R in there, and that'll be for something else. And they've got a few of those, so this is pretty neat little option here. But I think most of your high security is going to be in this. The B1 and 2 is for the HU66. And then, of course, this will do the DA30, or I'm sorry, this does the DA34. This is, as far as I've seen so far, I've only used it for residential, which Quickset, man, it cuts so nice, fast, pretty quiet. And I did that RU4 in here. It's super smooth, super fast. Okay, so good. Doesn't really need to be tightened, so that's a quick overview. This one's got a big old tray to dump all that. It's got a little tool tray in here, which is not near enough to carry everything, especially those jaws, but it'll carry the extra jaw pieces and stuff like this, which is a magnetized spacer. So whenever you depending on which key you're doing, will determine what space area you're at. It's pretty cool here. You'll see me use that in a minute. And it comes with a bunch of these little neat little things. Some things with this machine are going to be a little slower, a little more tedious. Extra decoders. You can see the ones I broke. Cutters. Gives you see all that. So we'll explain it as we go. All right, so residential dimple keys is a permanent fixture. I got to buy an extra jaw for the tibbies and then an extra jaw for tubular. And then it has another jaw for also this one will do engraving. So you can see engraving. So theoretically, I haven't seen it happen yet. Theoretically, we can engrave stuff on the heads of the keys. Kind of cool. All right, so nothing here. This does have a pull-out tray to dump all this. And otherwise, that's it. So, there's some USB ports in the back. I have no idea what for. Never used them. You got the communications C. It's a USB-C that goes to the back of here. I can't remember. It's just a standard like a kind of square port. I don't remember what USB. This is your power plug that has a full-on. I think it's a converter right there. So it's converting to what power source it needs. And then this is this weird little surface charging, kind of similar to what Apple does. It's like a magnetized proprietary charging port. A little white light comes on when it's charging. So sorry, I dropped the camera a little bit. Interesting. And that, of course, just bolts on the back there. So it's literally just a Microsoft Surface tablet. If you see a little reflection from that light, forgive me. All right, big beast, little beast. So let's do a little trial here that you guys would see. So I think what I'm going to do, and this I will time. I've got a few of these VVDI key tool remote blades here. I'm going to do the XP90 keyway. That on my Condor has been one of the slowest cutting keys. It cuts it has to go a bunch of times over it. Okay, so I'm going to set these both up for this. So over here, I'm just going to make up some cuts, but I will make them the same. I'm going to cut by bitting. I'm going to LXP90. My touchscreen is behaving at the moment. So let's do an 8 cut. Let's do a big one. So we can select the 8 cut, which will tell you over here, Toyota, Lexus, Mazda, Mitsubishi, so on. Lexus 5 cut. I think that's the short bladed one. 6 cut Hyundai and Kia. Okay, but when they use that same keyway, that's their specifics. So let's go with the Toyota. So this little jaw is pretty cool. You back it out. You got this little letter. I don't know if you can see it at all. Right there's an A. If I flip it, it's a B, C, D. This is your multi-jaw. Pretty neat, pretty effective. Okay, so this one's telling me to use jaw side A. Run the key all the way to the tip. It's telling me the information. It's 5 cut and so on. I can actually decode one if I have one. I can save information and everything. So we'll put you down for just a second. Get my blade in here. Okay. Blade in. I'm going to shut. I'm going to choose. Okay. So that's the cuts on that side. I'm going to go. So we'll just generic on that side. Okay. So that's going to be the key. Wonder how well that'll turn out. Let's do a little, let's get rid of that. I don't like that high peak on this bottom row, so I'm gonna put a 4 on that one. Just to get rid of some of that peak. And then let's go. I'm gonna do a 4-4 there. That peak's wide enough of a difference between the two sides. I think that'll be okay. All right. So let's see how we're gonna do this over here. Wait. I meant to do Alexis here. Okay. DOI 40. That's the 8 cut right there. Okay, same thing. So we're gonna go 3, 4, 4, 2, 1. Oops. 3, 5, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 4, 3, 2. Okay. So this gives you a little more info. One is the deepest cut. You have a key info tab over here. It give you the specs of it, tip, shoulder, tell you where the gauge is. Sometimes there's info over here. This one doesn't have any. This menu option takes you to the main setup, engraving of the keys, adding favorites, move the clamp. If you need to put something in, it'll move it forward or over if you want it to. I don't really need to. You got the decode option or the bidding option. I haven't honestly seen what that is yet. So, okay, so I just had to stop and clear that. So we're back to this stage. All right, which this one more tells you step by step what you got to do. So when I go to hit cut, it's going to show me I'm going to use this jaw, of course, tipped at the 4, gauged at the 4, and it gives you several options. I honestly haven't, I can switch between them and gauge it out further or in further. I'm not really sure what that's for yet, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you. It's got a whole bunch of other options over here. I don't know what they're for, so forgive me. So that's going to be the second one back, so I'm putting my tip gauge in the second one back. I'll see if I can do this one-handed. Where's my other? All right, so I set that other key down, and I don't know where. What did I do with you, you little booger? Okay. Guys, that's bad. Oh, that's why. Dropped it over there, forgive me. Maybe we'll be able to edit that out. Okay, so one thing you'll notice, you have a top shelf on this menu and then the second shelf. So when you notice this jaw, you can actually set something on this top and close it in, or the high security keys most of the time will go on the second shelf here and close in because it's holding it all the way down up against it, all right? So it's just in there real good. So I like the way that sits in. Sorry for the bad camera view. One-handed view. So since this one's on that bottom shelf, we don't need a bracket to pin it. When you do like Nissan's on this upper shelf for keys that are above the jaw because it's doing the sides instead of the top, you can there's a plate you mount across the top that pins that down better. So, FYI, I'm going to close both here,